Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to I did it again. This is Developing Dads Podcast. This is episode number 51. If you are watching this on the YouTubes, on the internet, you'll see we're in a slightly different location today, aren't we, Neil?
We are, as I take a drink of my lost lager.
Oh, and if it's a lost lager, what kind of lager? Where did you get that lager, Neil?
A Brewdog.
Oh, so where are we, Nelson?
What's the official name? Waterloo Podcast Project. We are in the Waterloo massive Brewdog. If you've never been here before, I don't think you can comprehend how big it is. There's a bowling alley to my left, and it's on a few floors. It's massive. It's
also a chute over there where you can get on it and then go down the slide. You know, I don't know how health and safety that is if you've had a few cans of beer.
I know.
But anyway, I made a suggestion. Like I saw, basically Brewdog opened, I think their biggest flagship store going. It's like absolutely massive. God knows how much money this has cost. But they also have a podcast studio, and I thought this would be a raving idea to come here, have a few beers with Neil, do our Developing Dads podcast, and talk about all things developing dads. But at the moment, it's not going so well. Let's be honest.
No.
You'd kind of think, Neil, that our janky home setup wouldn't be better than this, but it is.
It is, and it's far cheaper, probably.
It is far cheaper. This was £95 for the hour to be able to do our podcast. We can definitely hear the individuals who are out and about enjoying their beers and the music that goes with it. And we can't record any video. We're actually recording on my own my own little capture device. So at the moment, I can't say it's gone that well to start with.
Agree. But I'm surprised how busy it is. I mean, we're on a Monday night. It's we're just about 7 o'clock, and it looks pretty busy. I think you struggle to get a table.
It is. I think they're definitely recouping their money. That's for sure. But anyway, rather than moaning like tight Scottish men that we are, what are you doing down in London, Neil?
Good start. I am down for a week of training, so I've got a professional training course on Tuesday, Wednesday. There's an exam at the end of it. So, and then I'm here till Thursday. But I thought I'd come down a night earlier just to A, be ready for the course, but B, have time with my brother.
Oh, that's cute.
So it was a 6 a.m. flight, red eye I think they're called in commuter terms. But yeah, it was early, straight into city, in the office by 9.
And is there an office in London?
Yeah, near Bank, Liverpool Street.
Very good. Good, Neil. It's lovely to see you.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that the GoPro-esque angle doesn't really do your tash justice, does it?
That's a shame.
I think when our next podcast, though, you won't have a tash. You should have shaved it off by then. Are you going to keep it? Are you going to continue the no kissing with the wife and your daughter hating you?
Yeah, I think it needs to come off. So I think I've brought my I'm down here until like the 2nd or the 1st, and I've brought my razor with me, so it will be coming off.
I'll be whipping it off, will you? So when you get home, the wife will just be smooching you non-stop.
Yeah, I wonder if the boys in Isle will recognise me.
Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll turn up and think you're the gardener.
But funny story on the Mo. I went to get my haircut on the Friday, and I'm sitting in the chair, getting my usual Turkish barber haircut, and he turned around and said, "Are you doing Movember? Let me tidy it up for you." That's the first time I've ever been in a chair getting my Mo tidied up. So he brushed it, he shaved it.
How did it feel, Neil? I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I quite like the faff when it comes to, a barber, I'm not sure about the chat. Some of the chat's a bit terrible. But when they're massaging you, they're doing your eyebrows, they're doing your earlobes, they're doing the old nostril hair. It's quite nice, isn't it?
Look after you.
So do you think I should grow a mustache just for the pleasure of someone twizzling it?
No.
Oh.
It's been pretty grim. No, I wouldn't say grim, but just a bit self-conscious. A bit like I'm sitting on the tube, people looking at me, do they think I'm a weirdo?
Self-conscious? Why would you do it then if you're self-conscious?
To raise awareness.
Exactly. So what's this self-consciousness for?
Yeah, maybe it's not that. But anyway, I just feel weird. Like I went to a wedding with it, and like obviously there's no guests, or I didn't know many guests. So like, is that just normal for him? Is he a bit of a weirdo with
But that's
tash?
all they're going to think.
I know.
If you had a fat mole on your forehead, they would just think that's a rather large mole on your forehead. But you wouldn't have just stuck it there.
True. So,
either way, in the pursuit of our usual podcasting, how do you feel in this environment? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think this would be something you'd want to do more often or not?
I don't know. I think I prefer the sofa.
For certain. The thing that we were talking about last week in our podcast, we were talking about the idea of like if when we're retired we've made loads of money and I can just fly a jet around. But wouldn't it be quite cool though? There must be loads of these podcast studios all around the world, right?
Yeah, there's a couple in Edinburgh that I know of. Friends of friends have used them.
So we could just rock up, do a podcast, have a record up, take an equipment with us. You know, we can have a few beers, like chill out, that kind of thing. And it feels like quite a fun thing to do. But then equally, I feel like doing a podcast on top of Ben Nevis would be quite fun.
Yeah. Or like I've always thought about the Forth Road Bridge in the background would be nice.
Do the Forth Road on the Forth Road Bridge.
Not quite, but with a view of it.
Wild. Anyway, so this is the Developing Dads podcast, where we talk about all things developing dads. We are in the Brewdog Waterloo, experiencing a very expensive. It's business expense, I think, Neil, isn't this?
Yeah. I mean, you're paying for it.
Oh, right, great. Thanks very much. You're getting the beers. So we're enjoying our first ever on location podcast, and we always start this Developing Dads podcast just asking each other how we are, because blokes don't talk enough. And actually, to be honest, it was quite a sad thing I was listening to on the train. It was Wales football team. There is a famous I think he was a football player and football manager, a guy called Gary Speed.
Never heard of him.
So Gary Speed, I'm pretty sure he's a father. Pretty sure he's got a wife. I was listening to a news reporter who works for Sky Sports, and he was best friends with Gary Speed. And tragically, Gary Speed took his own life.
Wow.
And it was kind of like it was quite recent, actually. It was just basically during the Wales World Cup campaign. One of the games was actually on the anniversary of Gary Speed's death. And it was just a really harrowing reminder to me that I don't know. I just need to say. I think we were talking about that previously the other day, where there needs to be a friend, and if you're that friend who just organizes shit, who's the person that says, "How's it going?" Like sending a message. Like never feel like I get that, because Laura sometimes feels like that, where she might have to reach out all the time, but I'm okay doing that now because
save a life.
Well, maybe. Yeah. So, part of our podcast is, we talked about last week in our podcast about how, why we do this and how we do this. But part of it is also like, how's it going?
Yeah.
So, Neil, how's your week been and how's things?
Yeah, it's been exactly, or just a week and a day since we last spoke. We spoke last Tuesday. Standard week at work. There's nothing much to report there. Went to the pub with a friend on Friday evening, which was really nice. Something I don't do that often, although it might sound like I do. But it was a local friend in Dunfermline. And then Friday evening, so if you listened to the last episode, the twin boys had a sickness bug last weekend, and Isla decided to Friday night to have that sickness bug. So
I feel your pain now, Neil. That whole sickness thing, I never really understood it. Where parents would be like, I can't come into my PT session today because I've been shitting through the eye of a needle. And I'm like, well, where the hell did you get that? Kids are riddled, mate.
Yeah.
They're absolutely, like, what is wrong with the world? How has the human race managed to get to the point where we're sat in Waterloo Station drinking beer and having a podcast when, now I feel like I've got something all the time.
Yeah, there's always that kind of queasy feeling, especially when you know it's in the house. You're like, am I okay? Do I feel fine? Touch wood, I do just now. But yeah, so that was Saturday, right off. She was back to normal Sunday, soft play and all that good stuff. So it was short-lived, but during it and during the living of it, it's just horrendous, because you've got bed sheets and you've got sick on the carpet. And
you're the one tidying up, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's also one of those duties that you're not turning around and going, someone else can do it for me. Like, I don't know, the painting in your house, or your plumber needs to fix something or whatever else. Nah, mate.
At 3 a.m. you're getting up with that child.
Yeah, no one else is. And they're not going to thank you, ever.
Yeah.
Like, she's not going to turn around to you in 15 years' time and go, Dad, see that time I was really, really ill and I shit the bed and you tidied it all up for me? She ain't doing anything, is she?
Yeah.
But then, to be fair, you probably never thanked your wife for the time that you, spewed up everywhere and she tidied up for you. Or the time I spewed up and you tidied up for me.
Yeah, that's for another episode. But, just dad life. There's not really anything exciting to report.
Great, Neil. You seem very unenthused for this podcast today. What's the?
I think I'm just tired. Like a 4 a.m. start. Didn't sleep anything on Friday night. Cleaning up sick. Just.
I found this recently. It's a mild observation on stuff. Is certainly with Olivia, and probably with Isla and the boys. You probably recognise this. Is when you bring the energy, and that sounds like some woke, wild, hippie crap. But when you're like, Nah, I gotta find something inside myself to make, like, how much do your kids react to it? It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, it changes completely.
When you're like, you point in the sky and you go, that's the most exciting thing I've ever seen. Actually, it's just a flight path plane going over. They get so involved and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it doesn't change. I mean, I'll still flick of a switch if you're kind of not hyperactive, but just in the moment. And
just raise the game, right?
Yeah.
And I think that happens with adults as well. Like I noticed that when I was PTing, that when personal training clients would turn up and they've had a shit day, right? They've had a hard day at work. But if you bring the energy, you bring the fun, right?
Changes the game.
It does. People's attitudes things definitely change. So I thought I'd highlight that observation.
You're going to dance around for me?
I am not, but I'm certainly bringing the energy. That's for sure, Neil.
Good.
That's it. That's all your week. That's all you're going to tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great, fantastic. Can't wait for this podcast.
Anyway, how's your week been?
How's my week been? We've had a few things on. One in particular, actually, I was quite in reflection, because I've gone through this period of like employment, unemployment / just going back into the freelancer world, right? Because I don't think I've ever been unemployed, I guess. I mean, when do you classify yourself as unemployed, Neil?
Not earning a wage.
When, though? Because some of us got savings, so you're still earning something, right?
Yeah.
You're still using it, I guess.
True.
So anyway, I was reflecting on it, and I reflected on it in that Laura's dad, his name's David, lovely guy, lives 5 minutes up the road, greatest life hack of my entire life. If you ever want to have a tip, live near your in-laws that you like. Anyway, he messaged me in the morning and just goes, oh, there's a pub, maybe 15, 20-minute drive from ours, called The Hope. And The Hope it's basically just like hardcore beer. It's a beer pub. And it's got some amazing beers. And to be honest, like, I'll get to, this is kind of conclusion of the story, but it was fantastic. Like, the beer was just, when you go to a good pub and you have a good beer.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was fantastic.
Was it new or has it always been there?
No, it's like a really old school pub, like proper old school, but it's just like, it goes ham on the good beer.
Nice.
Anyway, he messaged me and he goes, oh, I've always wanted to go here, but they've got this dark beer festival on. I thought that sounds fantastic.
You like a dark beer, don't you?
I like all beer, to be honest. So he was like, do you fancy going? And do you know what? Like, being freelance or just working for myself, I can say yes.
Yeah.
I can say yes.
Pause things.
But imagine I was still working like 9 to 5 and I was Monday to Friday. It's not happening, is it?
No.
And the fun that I had was great because, it's often the things that we enjoy in life or often the things that we cherish or remember well are often things that just are spontaneous. Like, how many great times have you had where you didn't plan it?
Yeah, I mean, that pub night I went out with a friend on Friday. We literally thought about it on Friday afternoon. We were in the pub by 8. Kids went down.
And you're having a chat and you're going through it. And to have that freedom, I think I'd forgotten about when I was employed a little bit. Yeah. Like, I don't think I'd forgotten about it. And I definitely created an excuse or a whatever it was to think that this was a good idea or whatever else. But the fact that I could just be like, yeah, sure. And it was 3 p.m. we went out.
Yeah, that's nice. It's nice.
And it was great. And we had a few beers and we had so quite strong, right? These are cask sort of beers. And it says 6% on the menu, but it's not really. You've had a half and you're like, oh, I feel a bit tipsy already.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like I think upon reflection, it's just kind of a nice moment where, I don't know, I get to hang out with just me and David.
Yeah.
And, he's going to be a significant part of my life for the next 25, 30, 40 years. And, these kind of moments to say yes to just are good because it helps us build that relationship and continue to build on it, right? Because, in this day and age, I think we still recognize it, but I think, 50 years ago, the relationships of having a conversation in front of each other are probably even more significant, right? Yeah,
and we were chatting on Friday night about an interesting topic of like investing in your relationships. I think people just seem to, I don't know, see on social media what you're up to, so don't need to have that pint or don't need to meet you for a coffee. But I think a fundamental thing, and I think I'm quite good at it or I'm more aware of it, is like investing, like coming down here a night earlier so I can do this, or you coming up to see me in Dunfermline, like little things like that can kind of build trust and build that relationship.
I'm just adjusted it. Just making sure we're in shot. I've got this weird perfection thing. Sorry, I was adjusting the camera for anyone who's watching this because it seems to want to turn. I don't know why. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is not about perfection. It's about getting it done. But you're absolutely right, Neil. Like, I don't know why we go through this kind of like conundrum in our own minds where we're like, do we reach out to that friend and say hello? Or do you fancy a beer? Or I don't want to be the first one to text. Like, I remember when I I remember when I got into when I met Laura. One of the biggest things about my attraction to Laura, I think at the start, certainly at the start, because it's about what do their pictures look like on Tinder. Oh, she looks hot, so cool. But then her chat was really funny. Like she was kind of engaging. But at the same time, she didn't like play this weird ass game that people play. It was like, oh, I shouldn't text them first.
Yeah.
Or, it was all about just like, I want to text him, so I'm going to say hello.
Yeah.
See what he's up to. And I was very receptive to that overall. And I think most friends would be pretty receptive to that. Like, if you're a recluse, then fair enough, but you're going to die a lonely death.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's just having that awareness. Say yes more than you say no to meeting people.
Saying yes.
With certain groups.
Yeah, I think I wholeheartedly, agree that I think that. But we've obviously talked in the past about the idea that we should be conscious of the fact we have basically no time. And we should go ham on investments with friends. But there are always going to be like a few friends, not all of them, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
And we need to reach out and be like, fancy doing this. Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of basically what I was doing at the pub, right? Chatting to David, chatting about his. It's kind of interesting talking to him about career as well, right? He's, 50-year-old man who has worked for the Foreign Office for 35 years, and he's very senior. It's like, he's got 10 years till he retires. What's career?
Yeah,
he's done career.
No, he's completed it.
So I was kind of like tapping into or trying to find out, how does he then find fun and happiness, I guess, in career when he's probably done, seen and been and done all the things.
And does he need to, though? Like, is another question.
But that's also it, right? It's kind of like, I think we talked about the kind of like the wave of life to some extent, I think in the last podcast, where you came to a realization where there was like, in your 20s, roughly speaking, I mean, you're quite an exceptional 20-year-old, but you have this point where you can just be like, I'm going to go friggin' ham at this thing, right? I'm just going to block out all of the other stuff and just keep going and going and going. And I certainly had that, and I know you certainly had that. But then when you settled and you kind of ground yourself a little bit, actually you're kind of on the downward slope of that kind of like peak thing, and you actually just plateau, right? You're not even going down, you're just kind of plateaued. So I imagine then when Olivia's grown up and whatever little one comes along, when they've all grown up, then I start to do that thing again, right?
Climb that mountain.
Yeah. So then you turn 40 and you do that 10-year thing, but then you've completed it, mate.
Yeah, yeah. And then 50s is just riding down the slope.
But I think it's on that plateau again because you get that thing again where maybe your kids have kids, and that becomes that second wave again, and probably even an even better one, to be perfectly honest. I think, and I think David's maybe like, I'm not speaking for him, I hope I'm not, but he's maybe riding that little bit, that second thing where, because I've often asked him about that, because does he want a career? Does he want to do you want to push for things, ambassador, all that kind of thing? But actually, he's kind of. He's like, nah, I actually quite like being at home and just spending time with Olivia, right? And seeing us grow up and helping us out and us meeting them and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, anyway, that's quite a deep conversation about purpose in life.
How was your week?
Yeah, how my week was. So that was right. Then we had some friends over as well. Again, just enjoying a space we're in now.
Yeah.
Because we spent all this money and all this time building this thing. And now we're just like, people coming over.
I get to see it for the first time.
You get to see it for the first time. I can't wait. It's got no skirting boards, so hold back.
Close my eyes.
Yeah. And we're just really enjoying that. And I can just see this space being just the most immense thing that I've ever had for 10 years. Like it's like one of these kind of weird aspects when materialistic items, which they are, like a quartz countertop and a nice wood floor and, paint and all that kind of crap, right? It's just pretty materialistic. But it's coming into this like amazing feeling.
Yeah.
Because you can like host people, I can show you and you can enjoy it, and then we can have an amazing Christmas there and just all that kind of stuff is just kind of coming together, and it's just great. It's great. Nice. It's freaking great.
So did you cook food? Did you?
Yeah, we cook food. What did we do? Laura, actually, that's a good point. So we've got the Dishoom cookbook. Have you got that?
Yeah.
Any listeners, you get the Dishoom cookbook. It's basically going to make you find things that you've never found before, but they're definitely on Amazon.
Yeah.
And then you're going to cook curry. So we did a Ruby
nice.
Murray.
Yeah.
So we did that one, but we do it like Laura makes it. It hands down the best. I think it's the best curry I've ever had. Would you say it's the best curry you've ever had?
Yeah, I always generally get that when I go to Dishoom.
I think it's sensational, and I feel very lucky that we've got this big green egg ceramic barbecue thing, and you can actually turn it into a tandoor oven.
Nice.
So you can get up to like 300, 400 degrees, and you get the skewers and you put it in, and so Laura's obviously like marinate the chicken, and then I've put it in the skewers, and this thing's done, and it's so good. Nice. And so we made that and had a few drinks. And then I think it was that Friday? Friday. And then Saturday, we can't even remember what we did. I think I hung out a bit. Maybe Saturday. There must have been something. Oh, we went to go and see our friends. So we got some friends that have bought a new house. So we went to go and see that, catch up with them. And it was also like one of these parenting moments. And I don't know if you still experience them, but when you go and hang out with like, see, why is this turning? Sorry, I'm back. I'm not editing this. Actually, this is maybe a suggestion we should put in TripAdvisor for the podcast, the Waterloo Podcast Project. Beer button.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Deliver some beer.
I know.
Anyway, I can't edit this if you want to go and get a beer.
No, it's good.
So where was I? I was talking about, going to friends. So when you're hanging out with friends, and you talked about this a little bit when you went to the wedding, but when you've got a schedule, and the schedule is pretty important when it comes to kids, right? You know when they're going to eat, you know when they're going to shit, you know when they're going to like go to bed. But then sometimes it's a good idea just to roll with the punches, right? There's moments in your life where you don't get them very often, and you're like, their schedule doesn't matter a hoot.
Yeah.
So we had kind of had that a little bit, and I know that Laura was getting stressed out about it, and I honestly fully understand, because nobody wants a shit night at home, right? Nobody wants a shit night to sleep. But kids are pretty resilient; like they're going to be okay. So we were kind of like this mild kind of like that quiet like look that you get from the other parent from your wife. Yeah, kind of like, or what are we doing? And you can't like do it in front of everybody else.
Yeah,
you can't be like have a discussion about it, because it's either not polite or there's going to be a mild sense of conflict, which makes people feel a little bit kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So how have you often navigated those? Because I imagine you've had a few, given you've got 3 kids.
Oh, definitely. And I think as they grow older, maybe 2 or 3, kind of that goes out the window. So routine, we don't really have a routine anymore. But they sleep fine. But anyway, how do I navigate it when they're younger? I think just being aware that it's okay for sometimes to let it slip. But I think probably there's a 90% we stuck to routine, 10% we in the first year or 18 months.
Because you got to roll with it, right? Sometimes, and we were having such a great time. Like, they're friends that we don't necessarily see all that often, just because time, right? People got families and whatever else, and it was just nice to hang out in their new house and just reminisce and talk and chat, and just kids are running around doing what they want to do, and it was just lovely. So we had that on the Saturday, and then the Sunday was a bit more chill. Like we kind of just did some bits and pieces. The day just flies by when you got kids, right?
We did the same thing. We put the Christmas tree up.
Which
I forgot.
That's a good thing to put. And how do you find the Christmas tree stuff now? Is it just who cares, or are you still enjoying it?
No, I'm still enjoying it. I mean, the kids just absolutely love it. And like pulling things out of the loft, seeing the kind of decorations that they sometimes remember, because they're now 4.5, the twins, and Isla's almost 8. So their memory of last year was great. Finding things that they forgot about. And we also we do Elf on the Shelf in our household. So there's a countdown to Wilson the Elf coming on the 1st of December.
Nice.
Isla's and she's still, bless her heart, she's 7.5 or almost 8, and she still believes, which is nice.
Yeah, I bet that is good, because
to an extent, we can get into that after.
But it's just like a family event, right? And you all kind of look forward to it. And I guess these are all things that embed in your brain, certainly when you're young, go through it. And Laura really pushed hard for it, but it's because she loves it as well. I'm kind of like, yeah, I get it. Like,
you got outside lights?
Mate, I have scaffolding outside my house.
Oh.
Like, this house is never done. It's driving me mad. Like, the new bloody bay window that we've just put together, there's a bit of damp that I'm like, this is supposed to be fixed. It's not fixed.
God.
It's never ending, Neil. It's just thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
Just farting out the wind, gone. We did the Christmas tree at the weekend as well, which was kind of, I guess, first, like, Olivia's first conscious one to some extent. Like, she's up and she's like, ooh, look at this, look at that, and she's trying to put baubles on and do all those kind of things. So, it's been good. Like, it's been good that way, and that was pretty much our weekend. Now here we are Monday drinking Lost Lager in Waterloo podcast studio.
I know. Funny story about putting the tree up. So we put Christmas chocolate baubles on them. And the rule is that you're only allowed to take one if Mum and Dad say you can take one. First night we had it up, so it was Sunday or Sunday night, whatever it was. And Ben had 2 in his pocket and 1 under his duvet in his bed.
This is a funny story about the time that the chocolate stuff was on the tree. Remember this?
In our house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I blamed you. You got in trouble.
Disappeared.
Yeah. It's a good test, actually, to see what kid tells you the truth. You know, so you could be like, he's not getting that when he's older. See about junior ISA? Well, I'm not telling him about it.
But yeah, when you see it under his covers before he goes to bed, it was pretty comical.
So how did you navigate that punishment?
So we didn't do the first punishment. We told him that it wasn't good, and if he does it again, then he won't be allowed to take any more chocolate off the tree. So he got one warning.
It's got one warning, okay. And how do you think that warning is going to go?
Well, I think it was Saturday, and Sunday he was fine.
Okay, right. So there's no more nicking anymore. No more stealing.
I've counted them.
Right. Yeah, that is pretty wild. But today's podcast, we were. I know we talked about last week. If you did listen to it, I mean, it's unlikely. But if you did listen to it, then we were talking about how we don't want to feel pressure about doing more podcasts. Right? That's probably fair, Neil, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we had one we were talking about casually, just talking about Christmas, and that kind of works quite nicely into this whole like Christmas tree aspect of things.
Yeah.
And 2023 isn't looking great financially, right? Across the board. It's going to be higher mortgages, expensive energy bills,
higher food.
It's just going to be a fundamental rejigging of our finances, right? For both of us, to be fair. I don't feel overly nervous, but at the same time, I'm like, it's not going to be great, is it? Like, it's not the most fun thing to do. So how are you feeling about this Christmas when it comes to like, you're supporting a family ultimately, right? You're holding down a job, but you also want to enjoy the festivities. You've got to kind of succumb to some of the materialistic bullshit that comes with Christmas and then buying people things. So yeah, how do you feel about it?
Good question. We actually start planning like 3 or 4 months before the fact. So with Monzo and other like Revolut and stuff, you can put like pots of money. So we've had a Christmas pot for a few months. We've been putting money in. So when it gets to December, it's not really a big panic.
What do you earmark for Christmas in terms of pounds?
£100 a child.
£100 a child. Why £100 a child?
Feels nice.
Okay, fine.
And like there's a debate whether like should Isla get spent more on because she's older, she wants bigger, better toys, that kind of thing. But no, we kind of keep it £100 per person. But a realization that Isla came to, and when is
that inflation linked?
She still believes in Santa, and she said a couple of nights ago that she knows what she wants from us, and she's also written a Santa list. So
interesting.
Yeah, so our brain logic is like she knows she's going to get presents from Mummy and Daddy, and also Santa. It's like, how do you navigate that? Which is challenging.
Interesting. So you allocate £100 per child. Do you and your wife, Rebecca, do you allocate like money together? Like, do you say that you can only spend this much, or you do whatever you like, or?
Yeah, we generally try and do a joint thing. So I'm just trying to, I mean, it's been a year since Christmas, but we either, I don't know, go for a nice meal or put it towards a hotel stay, or I put something for us because we don't really spend that kind of money together. In terms of like gifts, I don't need much. Like, yeah, I'm fine with not having a.
It's funny how you become a dad and you just kind of give up on life a little bit when it comes to presents and Christmas.
Yeah, like I just don't need anything.
You don't though, do you? Like, because
I feel very fortunate to say that.
Yeah, you do, but then equally, I think there's dads out there that are not necessarily that aren't necessarily in a job position as you, but I think you just kind of get to a certain point in your life where you're like, if I want to buy an iPhone, I'm just going to buy a bloody iPhone. And equally, you're not going to ask your wife to go and buy you an iPhone, are you?
Wait for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're just not going to do that. So, when you're a kid, it's probably what was that noise?
No idea.
Right. We'll just carry on. Screw it. I don't care. Is it still going on? Or maybe it's the GoPro, so they didn't work in our £95 an hour podcast studio. So, so you navigate, you've got the money, and then you just kind of like you two just kind of decide on a little trip away. Are there any other peripherals that you kind of think about where you've got to try and budget for, or do you just kind of go with the punches, or like how I navigate Christmas or previously, I'd never really budgeted for it. Again, very privileged to not have to do so. Okay, I get that. But now that, we've got a kid and obviously the rising cost and prices and stuff, we're actually thinking about, is this shit worth it? Half the time it's not, right?
Like plastic shit.
Yeah, it really is.
They look at it for a couple of hours and then finish.
And it's also very easy for grandparents to kind of just very much push down the route of like toys, and really want to celebrate things. And I'm kind of like, Junior ISA, Like, put some money in the ISA. So do you have to like budget for other peripherals, or how do you get on with that?
The awkward thing is like Isla's friends and like the boys' friends and our kind of, I don't know, friends that are kind of have kids as well that we speak to a lot. It's like, where do you draw the line?
So do you take a hard line and you're like, lads, stop buying stuff. Like I'm not going down this kind of like natural instinct reciprocal crap where I'm like, I'm just buying presents because people have bought presents for me.
We haven't had that chat.
You haven't had that chat. So how do you navigate it then?
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of years we were relatively new to Dunfermline, where we live now, so I don't think that was much of an issue.
So you had to make a good impression, or you didn't have to make a good impression?
No, I think we just didn't have many kind of contacts to buy for.
Okay.
But yeah, this year, I haven't navigated that yet. We're holding a Christmas party with a few of Isla and the boys' friends.
Oh God! So you got to buy all the kids presents?
Yeah.
Oh, Neil, this doesn't sound good.
It could be £5-10 each.
But even then, what if you invite 20 kids?
Yeah, I know. It's definitely not going to be that.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather put 100 quid into my kids' ISA.
Yeah.
It'll turn into something a lot more than the plastic crap that they'll just throw out the next year.
And another thing we did actually, so the boys are 4.5 now, is when their first birthday. No, second Christmas. Isla was, I don't know, but we did a second-hand Christmas.
Right.
So we went to charity shops, picked up, I wouldn't say hundreds of toys, but a lot of toys boxed. So I don't know about this about you, but we can go to a charity shop in Dunfermline. There's a massive, huge Amazon warehouse, like 3 or 4 football pitches big. And every year they donate tens of thousands of toys to the charity shops around Dunfermline. So they're all like boxed brand new, but for a fraction of the price. So yeah, we did that a couple of years ago. And that was amazing. Like, they got some incredible presents.
But that's not bad. But I just kind of like, people, like, we have enough stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I just feel like we probably, I've spoken that to Laura about whether or not we're getting, because we've got like the baby and bump crew that we have made friends with. There's 4 couples, I guess. That's 4 kids, right?
Yeah.
So have we discussed, like, are we getting them presents?
And the mums and dads.
I'm not interested.
Bottle of wine or
like,
whiskey.
I'm sure it's lovely, but I'd rather just go for dinner. Like, I'm not interested in buying it. Again, I guess part of me just doesn't want the hassle of having to think of something. Because if you have to think of something, if you genuinely have to think of something, they probably don't need it.
And the awkwardness of, like, you got me a bigger present.
Oh, God, and all that. Like, nah, I'm not keen. Like, I've genuinely, I think, and this is maybe a topic we'll talk about in the future, but the way I am and the way I'm wired, I often never think of or naturally feel like that kind of friends are a reciprocal relationship. That's how you become friends. Like, you do me a favor, I do you a favor.
Yeah.
But I've never really thought of it like that. So whenever I felt like I've been very generous, people have said I've been generous, or I have been generous, I've never expected it back. Like, I've never expected, I never expect anything back from, because I've got as much pleasure, in fact, I've probably got more pleasure from it than the actual other person.
Yeah.
Because it's been me something meaningful and something interesting. But then Christmas, spending £5 on a Christmas gift, like, how's that meaningful?
Yeah. But I guess when you're looking at the kids' eyes, they love opening things.
Kids, sure.
So.
Like, kids, sure. I get it. But equally, like, that £100, I reckon 50 quid in an ISA is probably going to do them more. Like, it's that curve, right? It's a certain point where they'll enjoy opening stuff, but then after that, it's kind of just a Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you put 50 quid in an ISA and it returns God knows how much over the next 20 years, it's probably pretty good investment.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's have this conversation when Olivia is 5 or 6 years old, sees the adverts and the toys that her friends have, and
fine, I'll be leaning on the grandparents, right? You spend that 50 quid, I'll put the other 50 quid in the thing.
Have you set a budget? Have you thought about that?
We've certainly kind of looked at the forecast of how stuff is going, and like, we had this discussion, right? We're quite upfront with you, and we're like, don't buy me anything.
Yeah,
like, you don't need to. Like, you just flat out don't. Just stick to the kids, and then we'll get them something.
Yeah,
I think that's the first thing we've done. And then equally the past couple of years, certainly with the Williams clan, we've all done Secret Santa stuff. So it's like 20 quid budget. You pick one name out of the hat, and then you buy them whatever they want in terms of the little list that they have. And to me, that feels much better.
Yeah.
And just because, again, like, most of us can buy our own stuff, and you're not going to ask, like, my brother-in-law is not going to ask me to spend 500 quid on a coffee machine, is he?
Yeah.
He's just going to end up coming up with something that he just thinks I'm going to want, right? So I think we've gone down that route, which feels much more wholesome, which feels much more fun, which is more interesting. And everything else, I'm just kind of like, even cards, I'm just like, what's the point? Like, we've already consumed enough as human beings.
Yeah.
Like, do we need to cut down more trees to build bloody cards?
Yeah, we've never done cards.
Nah,
Trading
I'm
cards.
not up for that. So we'll see. Like the only thing I don't think we've navigated quite yet is the Baby and Bump crew. That's something that I need to speak to Laura about actually after this and be like, what's that? What's that jobby?
What's the budget for that?
Yeah, because you've got you've done the party thing already, right? The 1-year-old party thing. Some people just do a little thing. Some people go all out and spend loads of money and so Christmas. I'm really hoping that no one spends any money on me.
Yeah.
Because then we have that awkward conversation, right? Other parts of Christmas I was quite interested in discussing and going over that I'm still, because I'm quite a new dad. You're an old hand at this one. Let's be honest. Christmas is the biggest lie you ever tell your kids.
Yeah.
Right. How do you navigate that, Neil? How do you feel about it? Because you obviously enjoy the idea of them waking up and going, Santa's been, oh my God, and the whole thing about it, and you can create a story and you can do all this kind of quite fun storytelling. But realistically,
yeah,
they might hate you.
I don't think. I think hate's a strong word. But I'm kind of cherishing the days I have left because I know Isla is almost 8, and when she gets into P4 or P5, probably the Christmases are running out in terms of her belief. Do I see a backlash? Don't think so. The joy when we're putting up the Christmas tree and Ben's running outside to see if it's snowing yet, quite magical, and like when Santa coming and the countdown to Santa and Wilson the elf is kind of a new 20th century thing where I don't know if you're getting involved with Elf on the Shelf.
Well, Olivia's not old enough, I don't think.
Yeah,
quite
I
yet.
don't think she is.
It'll be a while.
But Isla's literally counting down the days. She's got it because Elf on the Shelf comes on Thursday morning, and I'm going to be away. I'm coming back Thursday afternoon, so she's reminding me that I'm going to miss Wilson's first day in the house.
Outrageous. So have you planned out each and every day? How many days is it? 25 days?
That turns into an argument.
Oh, does it? Between you and Rebecca?
We never plan, but in the evening we're like sitting. It's like 9:30, 10 o'clock, ready to go to bed. Finished what we're watching on TV. Like, we haven't done anything with Wilson. It's like I did it last night. No, you did it last night. Or
why don't you have a
rota?
A war room meeting.
Yeah. And we're like Google frantically like, what's a good idea for Wilson?
Right. Have you done the poo one yet?
Yeah. We've done eating things, taking things out of the cupboards, climbing trees. Like we've done them all. Right, it's kind of fun.
Just repeat them.
Yeah, exactly. So
the next one you could do is do it at grandma's.
Yeah, we have done that.
Oh,
so
right.
Whether if we've stayed somewhere, like if we go up to Aberdeen or the Sky, we'll hide Wilson in our bag, and then when we get there, put it somewhere, and in the morning the kids come down like, oh my goodness, in the Sky.
Does it become a ball ache? Because you started it, right? You started this thing, and now
their imagination and their enthusiasm for it, I think, is worth it.
All right. It sounds very fun. Like I'm definitely keen for doing it. But then I guess it goes back to my question of like, well, but do you feel like telling them about Santa is like a big selfish lie?
No, I mean I'm not going to name drop, but we were around some people that hadn't had a kid yet, but I think they were maybe expecting, and they asked us one Christmas. This was years ago before the boys were here, and I was really young. Are you going to lie to your child?
Oh wow!
I'm like
you lie to them all the time. Like, you don't tell your kids everything.
Yeah, no. Why can't you go outside? It's raining. It's pouring with rain.
I mean, that's quite easy for them to turn around and go, "Well, Dad, it's not actually raining outside, is it?"
True, but the lying to kids, and we were kind of just said, like we're gonna kind of have Santa as part of our life, and fair enough if you don't want that, but don't have your child in your mind.
Yeah, because you've got to navigate that as well, right? Where you don't necessarily you're getting kids that are growing up in the Gen Z era where you can't lie to anybody. But God forbid you don't tell someone the truth.
The buddies, which are like P6, P7 in school, they're on board with it.
Wow,
it's like a big secret.
It's just the Santa Claus mafia.
Yeah, and Elf on the Shelf thing. Like Isla runs to school, and the first thing she'll say in December, every day in December to her friends, is like, "What did your elf do?" It's like this community thing. Like, I don't know, it's quite nice. It's quite nice.
It is, and lies aren't always negative things, right? Sometimes they're actually quite nice.
Yeah.
They're quite fun. They're stories. That's what kind of you're doing, isn't it? You're not really lying. You're just telling stories.
White lies, I guess. But I couldn't imagine like not giving my kid that joy of Christmas and that joy of Santa and the
Wait, I guess you could still give them joy, like some fat man with a beard.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like, I'm going to give you presents.
Yeah, it's nice. It's called a birthday.
Yeah, exactly. What's the difference?
It's still quite nice, isn't it? How do you find the food situation? when it comes to Christmas? Do you feel like you don't really care what you're eating, you're just going to eat 4 mince pies a day? Or do you and drink like 10 beers a night? Like, do you tend to like be like, I'm only going to do 3 days of like getting hench on the old fatness? Or what do you do? Do you do anything?
I mean, yeah, I think I probably can overconsume. So red wine is I'd say I have more red wine than beer in the house. But yeah, it just feels like it's getting cold at night. It's getting dark, especially like during lockdown in like last year or 2 years ago, whenever lockdown was over Christmas. I consumed a lot more than I did. Food, I just go all out. Probably I'm back to running kind of now, so hopefully I'll start losing some weight. But yeah, just enjoy it.
Just get stuck in.
Yeah.
Do you buy yourself that? Just treat yourself. Do you go, I've worked hard this year, I'm gonna eat whatever I want?
Yeah, nah. Like, I mean, with my running when I was kind of at peak, I didn't need to worry about what I ate. I just
My running at my peak is if you were Kipchoge.
30, 40 miles a week. That was enough calories to stomach anything.
All right, and you're gonna be all right during Christmas then?
Yeah. Well, one thing we try and navigate is like who's going to do the cooking. And generally, if we're hosting, I'll volunteer for that because I love cooking. But we try and alternate like which side of the family we go to. For example, last year we were up in Aberdeen. Or were we? I feel like last year was a write-off. Was that COVID last year?
I think you've had one Christmas that's basically scarred you for life. So we don't need to get into that one.
This year we're staying home. Our parents are hosting us.
Oh wow, really?
And yeah.
Goodness me. It's just about the 6th time you've been round?
Something like that. I'm trying to thought now.
You're talking about the food for Christmas Day?
Yeah, just like who's going to buy it. And like we did it when we lived in Aberdeenshire. We did a bit of a tradition where we'd go to like Marks and Spencer's on not Boxing Day, Christmas Eve, and like try and find a discounted turkey. And that worked well.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Yeah.
I quite like the. I think this year I'm trying not to just get carried away and spend loads of money and whatever else when it comes to the food thing. But part of me just kind of, it's our first Christmas in our revamped house, I guess. And I kind of like I bought an expensive turkey, and I've got the big green egg, and I'm like, oh, we should get some nice wine that goes with it, and then you've got all like the other peripherals. But we've got the in-laws coming down with the starters, so their starter set up. And we've got my brother-in-law and his girlfriend there. I think they're dessert. They're on dessert aspect. So we're doing the main course. And granted, that's probably the more expensive part of it, but I don't care. Like, I really want to just have a lovely, kind of one of those lovely Christmases.
Yeah, they're really special. Trying to think what else we generally have like family time in the morning. So we like open our presents together as a family, and then we drove to Aberdeen one Christmas, which is just don't do that ever again. On Christmas Day we drove up. But yeah, I really enjoy that time of like to like 1, 2 in the afternoon where it's just us, and we've got like presents and we're like opening up. And like last year, actually, I remember the boys and Isla were really into Lego, and probably this year as well. But there was that perfect age for Lego. So like I don't know, just those memories of like building Lego models and that kind of thing was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Nice. No, I'm quite looking forward to that, and I think everyone this year in particular, because Olivia is obviously more conscious. She's not necessarily talking, but she's babbling and she's doing some bits and pieces and whatnot. And I'm sure she'll get involved in like, unwrapping things and whatever else, and there'll be some sort of sense of it. And I think everyone just around the table just enjoying dinner and whatever else, and the mild panic of whether or not you've actually cooked something through and no one's going to die and get the food poisoning and all that kind of thing, and then just drinking from about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning until whatever time you decide to go to bed.
Well, one thing we find that's useful, and I mentioned this with the Christmas presents, is like planning ahead. So obviously we've now got a family of 5 on one income. Like I think it would be naive of us just to do everything in December with one pay packet. So I think if you can set like a 4 to 6 months runway of putting 50 quid a month back or £100 a month back, just for the festivities, because like you've got New Year as well, which you might want to do something. I think is sensible, so it's not a big hit. And we've done that for the last 2 or 3 years. Because
I think to feed everyone with wine is probably going to be 200, 250 quid, I thought. Something in that region.
So if you do it all in 1 month, then that's a sore month. Especially then you've got New Year, like New Year's Day and all that stuff. Like, yeah, I think advice that we've learned through having a biggish family of 3 kids is save money 4 months before.
Yeah, little and often.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the food thing, I guess, and the boozing aspect of stuff. So you just, basically what Neil's saying is he eats whatever he wants and gets drunk every night.
Yeah, like I have been thinking about my alcohol consumption. So I've been testing out some 0% beers. Especially like...
But they're not great. I tried, like I did that a month before Olivia was born, right? And I was drinking them and I was kind of kidding myself and being like, oh, this is really nice, it's lovely.
Yeah.
And then when she was born, I had a beer and I was like, what was I doing with my life?
I agree, but like tonight, for example, it's Monday night, I've got a pretty intense course, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then an exam on Wednesday I've got to pass. So I can see myself having one more pint and then going to the AFs.
The AFs?
Alcohol free.
What, tonight?
Yeah.
Get a grip. No, I'm not having that. What other parts of Christmas do you enjoy?
The time off, actually, is a big thing. So I guess you might have experienced it a little bit, but with my work, if I take a holiday, things just pile up. Not like everyone else is still working, is my point I'm making. So when I come back, there's generally lots of emails to look at, lots of things to digest, yada, yada, yada. But Christmas, the customers are off, everybody at work is off for at least 5 to 10 days. And you just know that it's going to be a relaxing time. Nobody else is doing work while you're having fun. And you don't have to worry about coming back in January to hundreds of emails or loads of things to read up on.
Yeah, I don't experience it. I don't experience it.
So, yeah, that's one of the big benefits of Christmas is everyone just switches off.
They do. I used to find that during my sort of PT days, I used to get a bit more time off, I guess, because it was just a bit quieter and I just not have to do as much. And I used to have to get a bit of time between. But then you go I'd still train clients between Christmas and New Year. So.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really wild. I'm self-employed. Man's got to eat.
Yeah, that £200 Christmas dinner.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of fond memories of Christmas for us. It was kind of, I guess we grew up on a farm, didn't we, with lots of snow.
Yeah, always most years it was full of snow, feet of snow.
Yeah, so we had one of those kind of idyllic ideas of Christmas, I guess, where it was thick snow. You'd maybe go sledging on Christmas Day. You know, it would be a fireplace kind of jobby.
Yeah,
you know, you get your Christmas presents and whatnot. And I think we've always been the families that open presents immediately.
Yeah.
But I've been part of Christmases where it's 2 PM, you got to wait till.
Yeah, we haven't distilled that.
No, why would you do that to someone?
I know. I remember we were up in Aberdeen and they wanted to wait for everybody to come to open presents, and we're like, no, we're going to do Santa presents first.
This is I could do that. I'd murder someone.
And the kids are just champing at the bit.
Yeah, but they are. But then I think one other little thing that I'd taken from other families in terms of traditions was I quite liked going to the pub for a few on Christmas Day. I don't know. Have you ever done that?
No, never done that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Say the pub's only open for I don't know, a couple hours between maybe 11 and 1. But it was so nice to just go, because everyone's there, right? It's all blokes, obviously. But you just go in, you have 3 or 4 beers in the space of an hour.
Yeah.
And then you go a little bit heavy on the old head of bevy. And you turn up at the Christmas lunch and you're a bit drunk and you've had a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have kind of a 20-minute walk pub near us. I can't imagine us doing that.
Take an island bed. Did you try it with Dad? Just go for a couple of pints while the old traditional idea, the misogynistic idea, the women's in the kitchen, and then you're out to the pub.
Yeah.
It's quite nice. I did enjoy it. I think it was maybe because it was a nice pub. It's a nice pub. It was kind of good.
Fire's on.
Yeah, the fire's on, all that kind of stuff. And you're just having a couple of Guinnesses or something like that. Something a bit wholesome. Everyone's Merry Christmas. Everyone's got a hat on or a jumper. It's lovely.
Yeah. What are the fond memories? I've never been one for going out for Christmas.
Yeah, it doesn't work, does it?
No, I don't. I can't. You got to get ready, and you feel a bit sort of anxious what you need to wear, and are you going to be late? And imagine trying to get 3 kids out on Christmas Day to a restaurant.
I think have we been part? Do you remember? Were you at Thainston when the Christmas Day lunch failed?
Don't know.
Yeah, so I worked for a hotel. Both of us worked for a hotel called Thainston House Hotel, and I think I was an assistant manager at the time or something. But basically, it just it didn't work.
So he wasn't good.
The food wasn't going out quick enough, or it was all disorganized, and I was just an assistant manager or a waiter or something. I don't know what I was doing, but either way, it was people would come up to me and tell me I'd ruined their Christmas.
Oh God!
And I remember that, and that just made me think, why would you go out for it?
Yeah, I know.
You've got. I guess I would definitely, if I was going to go out for Christmas, it would have to be for something stupidly fancy.
Yeah.
And I'd have to be justifying.
Stay overnight, or
I'd be justifying a silly meal. You know, like you can go to the Ritz, for example, and have Christmas lunch there.
I'd have to stay. There's no chance on that.
Maybe you'd have to stay. Maybe you wouldn't, but it's still going to be £300 or £400 a head, right?
Yeah.
You're willing to spend that, and the likelihood of you getting a good Christmas is actually probably pretty high. Like you're going to have a lovely dinner, right? But after that Thameston thing, like why would you go out for Christmas beyond like going to the Ritz or something? Because we did look at this was actually very unfortunate part of the pandemic. Outside of obviously everyone who lost their life and the terrible thing that happened, was that me and Laura, just before Olivia was going to be born, or certainly the time at which we were trying for Olivia to be born, we wanted to go and like have a last Christmas just the two of us, and we're going to go and stay in a nice hotel and have a Christmas lunch and all that kind of stuff, because it felt quite like a special thing. And Laura's mum and dad were out the country, you were up north or whatever else, and we were like, we quite fancy doing it. But yeah, I can't. I don't think I'd want to go out for Christmas. I just want to.
Not with kids.
No, because even if you're just a mildly competent cook, you can at least do a Christmas lunch, right?
Yeah. I mean, we looked at last year, was it? We looked at like just what it would cost to take our family away.
Oh my god!
There's a place called Crieff Hydro, which is like a kind of family village, big hotel, 5 stars, really nice, but it was $4,500 2 nights.
£4,500
for 2 nights, 5 kids.
How many bedrooms are you hiring?
Oh no, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my god!
It was just, but it included like Santa gifts, and like you got to see Santa on Christmas Day, and like so it would have been very, very special. Like the real reindeer and Rudolph there.
I mean, are they auditioning Santa Clauses, or are they just finding the local fat man with a beard?
Yeah, imagine the kids' faces seeing a sleigh and like Rudolph and.
Yeah, but then I don't know. I don't know. Like
It's not worth the money.
£4,500 exactly.
For 2 nights.
Yeah, 4.5. Like you've got Wilson on the shelf or whatever. How much did he cost you? £10? Do you know what I mean? £4,500. Wow.
Yeah. Not doing that. And would I if I was a millionaire? Maybe I would.
You probably would, Neil. But you would. You'd have a chef.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Like you'd have a chef rock up. You'd have a waiter. You'd have a cocktail guy.
Santa. Reindeers.
You do whatever you want. But even then, like I don't know. Like I don't know. I have this idyllic idea, and maybe my Christmas is going to be crap. But this really quite nice idea that we're going to all sit around this little table, and I'm going to cook the dinner, and we're all going to have a lovely time, and we're going to have crackers, and just a family.
Yeah.
Because I often think the further you get away from making the thing, the less you love it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like I didn't make my friends, but I made Olivia, so I definitely think I love her more than I love my friends.
Yeah.
And equally, like I think that's why Build-A-Bear exists to some extent, because you love your bear more if you made it yourself.
Yeah, put things into it, put a heart into it.
So I feel like if everybody contributes to the meal somehow, and you're all kind of like working together on it, there's some
coming together.
Yeah, there's some sort of humanistic kind of collaboration aspect of things.
Yeah. What's your typical standard agenda for Boxing Day?
Boxing Day, just wake up late.
Yeah. Well,
have some leftovers.
Olivia might have different ideas.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I know. That's the difference now, isn't it? I don't really have any sort of plans. Probably a bit more boozing. Probably go and hang out, watch a movie with everybody. We don't have anything sort of scheduled. We've got the Christmas lunch. There's definitely going to be a bit of like present opening. Everyone's going to come down, and then lunch is probably going to be like late in the afternoon. And then Boxing Day. Yeah, I'm not really sure for Boxing Day just yet. Probably go for a walk. Maybe go to a pub or something. That'd be quite nice. Like we usually sometimes do that. And then just chill out, I guess. You?
Nice. Are we doing anything? I don't think we've got anything planned. In fact, we're staying over at our parents' on Christmas Day.
Very nice.
Overnight. So we'll be there Boxing Day. Still, like New Year is up in the air. Some people love it. Some people just hibernate and stay in their houses. Don't know. We might end up in Skye. Might end up in seeing Rebecca's parents somewhere. That's still TBC.
All right, TBC. See what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is reaching our roughly hour nearly already on the podcast.
Well,
I'm feeling quite dry. Need a beer.
Yeah.
But either way, I hope this is recorded. If it hasn't, I'm gonna faint. But on a scale of 1 to 5, would you recommend the Waterloo Podcast Project at Brewdog?
I don't know if I would. It's missing like a little thing, like a beer tap.
A beer tap would be great.
They've got that in the hotel rooms. Why can't they put it in the podcast room?
And I could definitely hear all the music and people shouting in the background.
I've been trying to see the quality.
It's a bit weird with a podcast overall, I think.
It's quite a small, like imagine having 4 guests in here. It's quite
But you can't, there's only 3 mics.
Oh, yeah. True.
The video thing doesn't work. I've got to use some janky piece of software where it's going to give me an MP4 file
On a Dell laptop.
On a Dell like.
Come on, James.
Why have I not got like a record? Why can't I record on this like a SD card or something? I don't know. Like, you'd have thought that would be pretty good. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not that impressed, if I'm honest. Like considering our setup at home, it's probably going to sound better than this and look better than it.
Yeah, because you've got music. Imagine this on a Friday night.
Yeah, that's what she said. The woman said earlier. She was like, I don't know how people record podcasts in here. I'm like, this is the podcast room.
You're the podcast lady.
What are you talking about? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that Developing Dad podcast. We're talking a little bit of Christmas, and then I went in deep and meaningful into my week and how things have been. And we are going to attempt to get some more beer and maybe a table to enjoy some food and catch up and do all that kind of things. But if you haven't already, if we are at 3.5 listeners into this and you haven't already, do check us out on Instagram. Neil never posts on there when he probably should. We have a YouTube channel as well. I'm hoping to upload this too if it's recorded. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Cheers.
Thanks. See you later.